This changes everything for Cavs prospect Emoni Bates, who has taken a massive step in his development that all Cavs fans, all Cavs executives have discussed in moments past, and could force Kenny Atkinson into some tough decisions for this upcoming season. So we'll discuss that, including a major update regarding Jarrett Allen receiving backlash during the playoffs last year and him addressing some of the criticisms that came his way. So lots of stuff to dive into in this video. But before we do, folks, again, if you're part of the 88% that hasn't hit the subscribe button and want to stay up to date with everything regarding the Cleveland Cavaliers, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date, and the season's just around the corner. So we're going to be delivering daily coverage on everything Cleveland Cavaliers. So lots of stuff to dive into in this video and for the season. But let's dive into the first topic of discussion. The first thing we're taking a look at is Jarrett Allen speaking out on the backlash that he received during the playoffs last year. Now, obviously, the Cavs went into last season with very, very high expectations. Donovan Mitchell back, multiple all-star caliber players on the roster, and frankly, it was a disappointing year. The team dealt with a ton of injuries throughout the entire course of the season, and then midway through the Orlando Magic series, Jarrett Allen ended up going out with rib injuries. Now, there was a lot of ambiguity, there was a lot of question marks about the severity and how bad it was and whether or not Jarrett Allen could play. Well, all those reports came out and led to a ton of criticism getting thrown the way of Jarrett Allen, and probably very much unfair. And frankly, Jarrett Allen's a guy that has dealt with injuries at times over the course of his career, and some people were saying, hey, is he really injured? Is he sitting out or whatnot? And Jarrett Allen recently came out and said, hey, he has to address the comments that's going on. And he said, it takes a lot more to get under my skin. One funny thing that I always laugh at is you never understand how bad a rib injury is until it happens to you. I was looking at other people and say, oh, that can't be that bad, but it finally happened to me, and I'm like, oh man, that sucks. So, Jarrett Allen's coming out and saying that directly, and he went on to say that now it's out, looking at the CT scan, you can see the piece of bone that's still floating in my body somewhere. So it was definitely a worse injury than people thought. You don't understand until you go through it, but I feel like I'm very sure of myself. I feel like I'm very understanding on if I was able to play, I would play. And I played every single game last season that I could, barring injury. So if I could have, I would have. So again, that's very, very tough for Jarrett Allen, dealing with an injury. And we saw the news and after the series ended up happening, but there was a lot of shade thrown the way of Jarrett Allen, and there were some question marks about his commitment to the Cavs, and that was the huge topic of discussion entering the season last year. But funnily enough, the whole team knew Donovan Mitchell was coming back. The whole team knew everybody was coming back. So it was funny that that discourse got leaked and was a part of the reason there was a lot of criticism thrown that way. But basically, Jarrett Allen kind of shuts all that stuff down, says he's bought into the Cavs, and went on to say so much directly. Came out and said that I like it here. Allen said, I like the city. I like the people here. It's easy to say in front of everybody, but just to hype everybody up. But I truly, genuinely like it here, and I believe it in here. I've put in 3.5 years to try to see this team succeed, and genuinely happy that they put their trust in me for another whatever year. So again, Jarrett Allen's happy to be back, happy to be locked into the Cavs for an extended period of time. So again, some positive stuff there for Jarrett Allen coming back to the squad, and the fact that some of the backlash, some of the criticism, that certainly wasn't just because of the hate from Cavs fans and stuff, but from the entire NBA. But it's nice to know that he's very happy being a Cavs player, being a Cavs on this team and locked in for the future. But let's dive into the next topic of discussion, as this is the sort of thing that has everybody's minds blown in terms of what's going on, as we have a crazy Emoni Bates update. Now, a lot of Cavs fans, a lot of NBA fans were excited to see what Emoni Bates would do out there at the NBA level. And it feels like the hype, the excitement has really died off, especially after this year's Summer League for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Even though, he did show some promise as a scorer for the team. But again, anyone that watched him play, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, for any of these teams, really, Emoni Bates is a shot chucker. That's what he does. And during Summer League, came out and kind of disappointed for the Cleveland Cavaliers team. His points were down, his efficiency was significantly down from the field. As a three-point shooter, he was taking more shots, and all that type of stuff. And more importantly, like the other stuff outside his game. He did get a couple double assists, which wasn't that hard to do, but didn't get as many rebounds. And again, his minutes did go down during those stretches, but Emoni Bates didn't really take that leap that a lot of people were hoping for a guy that has that crazy upside, given how good he was in college. If you're not familiar with Emoni Bates, not college, during high school, he was a multi-time player of the year out there in the U.S., and frankly is just one of those players that showed a ton of potential. 6'10", all-around score, all that type of stuff. So Bates going to the Cavs had a lot of people excited. But now that hype is starting to drum up again a little bit because news came out that Emoni Bates put on 35 pounds of muscle. That dude put on some serious weight, and that really changes everything for his game, for what he's able to do, because again, not a lot of Cavs fans are super bought in, excited to Emoni Bates, because frankly, there's not a big need for isolation scoring on a team when you have Darius Garland, when you have Donovan Mitchell, when you have hopefully Evan Mobley taking that step up in development. Heck, when you have Caris LeVert able to come off the bench and really create shots, create buckets for yourself. And then, 3-point shooters around him, and Merrill, and dare I say Georges Niang, but really Strus is that guy out there for the squad. So, Dean Wade can come out there, knock down some shots. Emoni Bates isn't really needed in regards to his isolation scoring. It's not really a skill set that is desperately needed by the Cleveland Cavaliers team. But if you're able to put the ball in the hoop the way Emoni Bates can, again, as we saw with the stats, not super efficiently, but if you can have the capability as a scorer, as someone that can put up shots, put up buckets, Emoni Bates, if he can do the little things out there on the court, if he can play defense, just not be a sorry defender, if he can go out there and get some rebounds, if he can hustle, if he can bang a little bit, with this extra 35 pounds of muscle, if he can do a lot of the little things that are going to be beneficial to this Cavs team moving forward, then frankly, that's going to get him out there on the basketball court. And he is still extremely young. This is not a guy that you should just write off and anoint a complete bust. Well, he wasn't a bust because he's selected in the second round by any stretch of the imagination. He still has a ton of room to develop, as we're seeing right now. So again, it might not just be immediately. It might not be, imminent that Kenny Atkinson's like, oh, okay, Emoni Bates, you're getting in the rotation a ton this year. I don't think that's going to be the case for this season specifically. But if he continues that trajectory to put on weight, put on muscle, does the little things out there on the basketball court, and becomes more polished as a shooter, as a bucket getter, as one of these guys, then I think there's definitely a future with the Cleveland Cavaliers for Emoni Bates. He has that potential to really take his game to the next level, and we've seen it. We've seen him dominate, his level of competition out there at high school level. So again, if things can really come together, I know he's 6'10", but has those smaller arms. I know the decision making was a little bit issue, and again, looking at the stats from Summer League, the one real positive from it was the assists did go up a little bit more consistently. So that's the one positive you kind of have out there at that lines for Emoni Bates. But frankly, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged looking at the picks. He's looking way better, looking way more muscular, looking like a guy that can actually bang down low, because again, for these isolation types of scorers, guys, they need to shoot, of course. Putting on muscle might help with fatigue or something along those lines, but really, you also need to be able to get easy shots. And the only way to do that in the NBA is to have the strengths to absorb contact and finish around the basket. And if Bates is able to do that now with his extended muscle, that could get him in more of a rhythm, more of a confident flow. So when he actually is taking those middies, when he's taking those threes, when he's taking those different types of shots, then he's going to be feeling more in a rhythm to be able to shoot those buckets. So I'm encouraged by what's going on. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Again, 88% haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, so make sure if you're a part of that 88%, you hit that sub button. But I'm signing out.